Welcome everyone to today's edition of our hackathon workshops. Remember, these are our daily workshops as part of the Binance Africa Hackathon, Decentralized Africa. So I will be your host for today, Brenton Nika, the head of BD for Binance Africa. And with me, I've got my colleague, Ben, also from the Binance Africa team. But you're all probably sick and tired of our faces by now. And as you can see, we have a new and very exciting face that we'll be sharing with you on today's workshop. So over the past week, we've seen the likes of Auto Farm, Zen Finance, Bakery Swap, really open up their projects and their platforms to us. And it's been really insightful to see exactly what's going out there. But to call today's project and today's speaker a heavy hitter in the space of DeFi, I think would be an understatement. So it's a project that a lot of us are all probably familiar with. It's listed on our very own favorite exchange. And if you haven't figured it out yet, that project is oneinch.exchange, or as we more affectionately know it, 1inch. So maybe you've been living under a crypto rock and you aren't aware of them. Well, today's going to be a brilliant session for you. But just on a very high level, 1inch is a decentralized exchange aggregator. So it helps you to source liquidity from various exchanges. And you can even split a single transaction into multiple to try and get the most efficient route to your transaction across multiple different decentralized exchanges. So 1inch is powered by some very powerful smart contracts that actually provide these sort of aggregation and optimization services. And the project was launched in May 2019 by Sergey Kunz and his CTO, Anton Bukov. So currently they've surpassed 4.5 billion US dollars in overall volume in just over a year. So some of the more recent updates to the 1inch project is towards the end of last year. Those of you following may remember that they launched their MooneySwap API, which is an automated market maker. And interestingly enough, the 1inch project hasn't stopped there. They have a lot of interesting developments in the future coming up in the roadmap. So before we hand over to Kirill from the 1inch team, who will be taking us through the swap API specifically today, remember that this is just a small part of the hackathon. So we have the main hackathon event, which means you can submit your projects, whether you're just a hobbyist, or you've got a full development team. You can submit your projects to stand a chance to win from that 30,000 US dollar prize pool. And those entries are open until June 28th. So if you check the chat right now, my colleague Ben will be dropping the hackathon application guide on how you can add your project to those that are participating in the hackathon. Also, if you didn't know that, or maybe you didn't know about today's workshop, it means that you are not a part of the Binance Africa Hackathon Telegram group, which is our official community for all updates, everything hackathon related. So workshops, giveaways, the actual demo day itself. If you never want to miss out on a hackathon event, make sure that you join the Hackathon Telegram channel, which is also going to be dropped in the chat below. So now that I've gotten some of the housekeeping out of the way, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome today's guest from the 1inch team themselves, who will be telling us a bit more about how this swap API works and what we can utilize it for. So without further ado, welcome, Kirill.
Hello. Today I want to talk about the swap API and show you how to get quotes for specific token pair and get the swap call data to execute the swap really fast and quick. Okay, I'll share the screen. Good. I've seen the screen. Okay. 1inch swap API allows you to get the quote, to get the best path for distribution source token amount among different DEXs. Each liquidity source, it's a specific market that has their own liquidity. And if you want to swap large amounts of tokens, our Pathfinder algorithm will find the best way how to split your amount and catch the best liquidity from up to 20 liquidity sources. And let's see how it works. We have api.oneinch.exchange Swagger Binance link, and here you can get your quote with the execution path, and also swap call data that you can pass through your Web3 provider and execute the swap. Okay, let's start from the quote endpoint. Let's try it out. Here we have three required params. This is from token address, this is your source currency, and to token address, which token you want to swap. And the amount of source token represented in way. For example, here we have about zero. Let's try to get the quote for one BNB to 1 inch token. This is a BNB address representation, and this is a 1 inch token address. And here we are. Here we have the swap path through Pancake Swap version 3. We have the gas estimation here, and also we have how much 1 inch token in May we will get after the swap. And if you increase the swap amount, you will get a very complex path. The path goes through a 1 inch liquidity protocol, also through Pancake Swap version 2, and Cheese Swap. And we catch all the best liquidity from the market. And let's see for other parameters. You can specify the list of protocols that that you can use in the path building. By default, we use all supported protocols. For example, if you want to get the quote only through Pancake Swap, you can just enter it here. Oh, sorry. Okay. For example, yes, to get the all list of protocols that supports by 1 inch, you can call protocols endpoint and look at all supported markets. And for example, I want to use 1 inch liquidity protocol for getting the quote. You need to use wrapped BNB to swap BNB to wrapped BNB, and next the 1 inch liquidity protocol to swap to 1 inch token. And yes, here the only one exchange. Okay, let's look at another parameters. If you want to integrate our API in your wallet application, in your external product, or you want to just provide user the ability to swap with your interface and 1 inch API, you can charge fee percent from the source token amount. You can specify this value in this parameter. Also, for our Pathfinder algorithm, we use gas price to build the path, taking into account gas costs. And you can choose the gas price that you want to use for the swap. By default, we use fast gas price from the network. Now, parameters, it's connector tokens. You can set up to 5 connector tokens for not liquid tokens. We have the list on our end. It's about maybe 20 tokens, but if your token is not liquid, and you need to build the path through a specific token, you can just use this parameter and pass here token addresses for the path building. And let's look at the last parameters. This is the complexity level, main road parts, and parts. As you can see, in the swap, we can have, for example, uh, complex roads, and each hop, this is a complexity level. Um, you can set up to three tokens that can be in the middle of the your source currency and destination currency. More complexity level, more latency for the execution. Less complexity level, faster response time. By default, we use two complexity level. That means that the path can contains up to two connector tokens in your path. And another parameter, this is the main road parts and parts. The main road parts, this is the divisor of the source token amount. And for each small part of the source token amount, we will search for the different paths through the different markets. And you can have several main roads, main paths inside the one main big path, and the parts parameter represents the split parts for the specific quote. For example, here you can see that 2.5% goes through Warden swap, 5% goes through MDEX, and other markets. And we use parts parameter to split our token on one hop for different small amounts and try to receive the quote for these small amounts from the different exchanges. And you can also specify this parameter here. Okay, let's move to swap call data. To make swaps through the 1-inch exchange, you need to have a sufficient balance of your source token and also an approval for 1-inch contract address. You can get the spender using this endpoint. This is actually 1-inch contract address. You can check it on the BSC scan. And to get the call data for approve, you can use this endpoint. Just pass token address here and you will get the infinity approve call data. And let's try the swap endpoint. To emulate the swap gas estimation, we need to have a wallet that has sufficient amount of BNB. Let's try to find smart contract, the wallet that has sufficient value. For example, this stack, I think it's good. And okay, here we have two more required parameters. The first one is from address. This is the address from which the execution will happen. And if you swap using your wallet, you need to set your wallet address here. And if you're using proxy smart contract, you need to set a smart contract address, which will execute the 1-inch contract. And another parameter is the slippage. This is a percent that represents minimal token amount that you get after the swap. For example, you send the transaction and some front runners, some other traders set a higher gas price, and the miner validator choose his transaction um, in more prioritized than yours. And in this case, the quotes during the swap can be changed. And this is a protection from the losses. And if the amount do not reach the minimal return amount, the transaction fails and protects you from losing. Let's try to execute this endpoint and see what's going on. Okay, good. Here we also have the execution path, our return amount, and another object that we have here is the TX object. TX object contains of from address, 1-inch contract address, this is the true address, and also call execution call data for the swap, value, this is the amount in BNB, gas price, this is the fastest network gas price, and also gas estimation for this swap. And you can just get this object and pass through your Web3 provider and easily sign it and execute the swap. Okay, let's look at another interesting parameters. Interesting feature, it's a DEST receiver. You can specify the address that will get the destination token after the swap. By default, our API use from address, the address from which the call data is executing, and you can specify any other address if you want to get the destination token to another address. Also, you can set a refer address and fee parameter and receive some fees from the swap token amount. Another parameter, it's disable estimate. By default, it's set to true. And if you don't have sufficient allowance or balance on your from address, you can set this, by default, it's set to false, sorry. And if you want to do not allow make an estimation, you can set to true, and you will get the swap call data, but without gas estimation. Okay, another interesting feature, it's a burn chi flag. This feature allows to use chi token. This is the gas token that allows you to reduce fee costs during the swap, and you need to have sufficient chi token balance and allowance for 1-inch contract to use this feature, and you can save some some BNB on swaps using this feature. Another interesting parameter, it's allow partial fill. By default, it's set to true. This means that if you have two or more complex paths in your main path, and the market moves fast, and you don't reach minimal return amount on one of the paths, this path will be reverted, and the amount will be from this path will return to your from address. And if another path will succeed with minimal return, you will get the destination currency. This is partial execution of your transaction. And I think that's all for swap endpoint. And I think I told all needed details, how to receive quote and get the swap call data. And you can use any token with this API that you want. Okay, feel free to ask me. Feel free to ask some questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very insightful session, Kirill. I think I'm actually going to be going and playing around in my Postman environment, checking out the Swap API after this. So thank you for keeping me busy this weekend. But Ben, after a session as insightful as that, I think we probably have a few questions from the audience. So is that correct? I think let's just give Ben a minute or two to check for those questions.
Yeah, I can provide documentation for the API. Where can I can send it to the chat maybe.
Okay, great. So our first questions come in from Raihan Pratma, and he wants to know what happens if we make the disable estimate function to false in the API. So
Okay.
quite a technical question to kick off.
I like technical questions. If you set disable estimate flag to false, that means that our swap API will emulate the transaction on the virtual machine and says is it transaction pass all needed checks like if this transaction can be executed, and also return the gas estimation from this execution. And if you set disable estimate flag to true, then we don't do any emulation of the transaction, and you need to have it on your side. This allows to use proxy smart contracts and get the call data without estimation, since your proxy smart contract may not have sufficient balance and allowance, and you can proxy 1-inch call data through your contract and estimate the transaction outside of the 1-inch swap API on your own side.
Thank you very much. Let me just keep an eye out for any other questions.
Yeah, Brenton.
So I see.
Looking out for a few questions. As soon as they come up, I will put it up on the screen for Kirill to take care of.
Perfect. But in the meantime, I know we have some FAQs here. So quite an interesting one. Can I cancel a pending transaction using the 1-inch swap API?
For canceling transaction, it's not necessary to use 1-inch API. You can just to get the to sign the TX object that contains from token address is your address, to token address is also your address, and zero value of BNB, and also 21K of gas, and just send this transaction with the same nonce with the same nonce that you send with your 1-inch transaction, and this and more gas price, and this transaction will
place. Brilliant. So one thing I'm very interested to hear about here is it looks like 1-inch has a referral program. So is that correct, Kirill? And if so, how does the 1-inch referral program work?
We have two types of referral program. The first type, as I described in the Swagger documentation, you can set the fee percentage that you want to charge from the source token amount. This is the first version of referral system. But another interesting thing that we have 1-inch liquidity protocol deployed on Binance Smart Chain, and we have parameters like a referrer fee in our governments, and from each swap, some amount of pool tokens collected on the fee collector contract, and each week we unwrap these pool tokens, and each user who use 1inch API and get the 1inch liquidity protocol in the path, they will be able to claim the rewards that collected from their swaps.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much, Kirill. So this has been an exceptionally insightful session. For all of you builders out there, you've got the most amazing tool to build in the DeFi space. So Monday Oga wants to know, can we get the link to what he was doing so that we can practice that? Documents, I think he's referring to the Swagger API link. So Ben, if you check our chat, you'll see those two links.
Yeah.
Would you be able to? Perfect. So we'll share those links with you in the next 30 seconds, probably Monday. And we're looking forward to seeing what you build on the 1inch platform. We're utilizing the 1inch platform. I think as a final question for 1inch, I think for those who want more information, who want to get more involved with the project, or maybe want some help as they embark on this building journey, are there any official channels for 1inch? Where are they? What are they? And how can our users follow you, Kirill?
I don't have Twitter account. I don't have any social media. You can just ping me in the Telegram with the KRBOKTV nickname and ask some questions.
Sure. And what about 1inch? Does 1inch have any community groups or pages, etc.?
Yes, sure. 1inch has a Twitter account with lots of followers. Also, we have a Discord channel where you can ask any question. We have a Telegram chat group. Also, we have a government's forum where you can send your proposals for the 1inch. And also, we have a GitHub.
No, brilliant. So all of your normal tools. So if you're a builder out there like Monday or Gar, join that Discord channel, and anytime you have an issue, maybe you don't understand what payload response you've gotten, just go there, ping the group, and you'll always be able to get help either from the team or the community. So Kirill, the CTO of 1inch, everyone, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute honor to have you with us, and we're looking forward to seeing an uprising of African developers and projects being built off these tools that give us access to the DeFi market in such an efficient way. So Kirill, thank you so much for your time today, and I think keep your eye on the African market over the next few months.
Thank you for the workshop.
Great. So we shall see you all again tomorrow. Is that correct? Ben,
Yes,
do you want to tell everyone what we have to look forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, guys, we have a lot of projects lined up for the week. For tomorrow, we'll be looking at Chemix. Chemix is a decentralized fractional algorithmic synthetic assets protocol platform. And we'll have the founder of Chemix live on the call tomorrow. So you guys want to do well to catch that one also.
Great. So until tomorrow, keep well. And remember, whether even if you're not technical, make sure anybody that you know knows about the hackathon. And remember, join that Telegram channel and make sure that they enter, because there are a minimum of $30,000 up for grabs. So thank you, Ben. Thank you, Kirill. Until next time, keep well, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.